All right, it's 8:30. We do have a quorum. Commissioner Pierce is on the phone, so we'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All righty, we are practicing social distancing today. As you can see, we're all 6 feet apart. It's appreciative. We have time for an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. We have no one in attendance. We'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Motion been made and seconded. Anybody want to add anything to it? Any comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We have an agenda. Item 5 is the consent agenda. We have approval of the minutes, approval of travel and education requests, approval of personnel action notices, and approval of cellular authorizations, and approval of the human services report. Questions or comments on any of the consent agenda items? Any comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Pierce,
Aye.
Boersma,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6 is routine business. We have some claims for us, claims payable and April cell phones. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments on the claims? Comments on the claims? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Boersma,
Aye.
Krogman,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B is the department head reports. Since Marty's here, we'll let him give a report if he has one.
Good morning. Things
Morning.
are going pretty well. I have, as far as employees, I have 2 employees, one correction officer and one deputy sheriff. They're in self-quarantine that they had traveled out of state, and they're getting close to their 14 days. One of my deputies last week went on an ambulance call, which the person passed away, and the coroner, he wanted my deputy that was arrived first there to perform CPR, put him on a quarantine until they tested the victim, in which the victim came back negative after 3 days. So then I brought my deputy. I guess he stayed in his garage for 3 days. So, but things are going okay. And otherwise, the nurse, it's a godsend to have the nurse, because she's able to take care of things in-house and not take them to a clinic. So she's been able to get medication and give shots and those types of things at the jail, so we don't have to take out of the facility. And what's helped is with the court and not having court and those types of things. But other than that, calls for service, it has been down. The ones that we need to go to, the officer does go, and a lot of them they can take on the phone, if it's minor vandalism and those types of things. But traffic at the jail or at the sheriff's office kind of picked up a little bit. I don't know if people are getting antsy because and so now they want concealed weapons, and they apply in the lobby and put it in a box, and then we work them later and they call them and arrange a time for them to come. So, things are different, and they say these next 2 weeks to 3 weeks we'll kind of know where we're at a little bit more. So we're doing all the precautions that we can to limit people coming in. No repairmen are even coming in, and we've just lucked out so far that there's not been anything that we've needed and so forth. So staff is all upbeat, and actually the inmates aren't too bad. They're getting a little restless, but we're giving them a little extra rec, those types of things that kind of, everybody kind of understands. And actually they want to be safe in there too. So otherwise, not too bad. A new deputy started yesterday, Tom Chester. He comes from Martin, South Dakota, and he was he was busy on the police department there, and he's excited to come to Brookings. He's familiar with the area. He's actually out of Wilmer, Minnesota, but he was the park ranger during the summer, a few summers. So he's familiar with Brookings and anxious to get going. So actually, things are going as good as we can. A lot of conferencing. We're on conference calls every day with somebody, you know, and all us sheriffs in the area are talking and doing what, you know, we're all kind of following each other's protocol and things. Equipment, self-protection equipment's a little on the slack side, but the penitentiary is making some gowns, and we need gowns. On that ambulance call, the deputy, we have Tyvek suits, but these Tyvek suits aren't big enough to get up over the deputy's equipment anymore. So now I've ordered some gowns so that we can gown up and then destroy them on ambulance calls. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, otherwise things are going pretty well. Got a couple policies in place, been approved by Dan, has looked at them too, and so forth. So we're good to go.
Okay.
I'm kind of alternating staff a little bit. Bart's at home working. He's working on some policies in the jail and doing some things, so I'm keeping him busy. But I'm kind of alternate my staff so we don't if something happens, we don't get all sick at the same time. So,
Good.
If you have any questions.
Any questions for Marty?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Marty.
Sheriff. Vicki?
Good morning.
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 Just like Marty said, we're not seeing the people come in, but we are utilizing our drop box, and that has been going great, and doing mail. Yesterday, I don't know how many phone calls we got, but it was nonstop all day. So people are getting the message on how we are doing things. We have a public service announcement that is going in all the papers this week regarding tax payments. And I do think we're going to put something in now with motor vehicles. They can do pretty much everything through the mail or online. It's just the new title transfers that we have to do through the drop box or through mail that people are having few questions on. And also, the state is working along with the counties to put out a public service announcement also on early voting to do by mail and not come in. So we are trying to encourage all the people to do things more by mail. But otherwise, everything is going good, and we're all there. I guess one is at home with their kids. Otherwise, we're all at work, and we're staying busy. So,
Do you think, Vicki, that, it's some of the rush yesterday in particular, or this time of the month, is because we had planned on opening the building yesterday
yeah,
and made a decision we would continue to be closed as the city was till May 6th. So I imagine you had a rush because everybody was waiting until yesterday to try and get in.
I think that is true. Anybody that purchased cars was kind of waiting until the last minute thinking we would be open. So,
Okay.
yeah, I think that that's true. So,
All right, so that public announcement will go out in the paper shortly.
yes, it'll be in all the papers this week. And I think that I will get a hold of the radio station and do that too.
Sure, I think the paper had an article from the city already.
Yeah.
So I think the word is already out there. People are asking me how we're going to handle elections at this particular time. As far as early voting for the primary is still scheduled for the 2nd.
June 2nd, yes.
June
And
2nd.
it starts the early voting the 17th, which is a week from Friday. So we will be set up and be ready for early voting absentee. But we are going to promote doing it by mail.
Okay, good. So at this point, that the state's not changing the
The
primary.
state has not changed, no.
We don't expect that they will at this
No.
point. Okay. I know the city election school board election will be put off until later in June.
Right, I believe it's the 23rd of June,
Okay.
so,
So we'll be able to manage the two different entrances to the building for both those
yes.
elections.
Yes, and in talking to the city, we'll have to see too how we're going to handle if people need to vote both places. And that is something we still have to iron out.
Probably have to go out one door, walk around, come in
Yeah.
another door.
Yeah, it's nice out, so they can do that.
Get a little exercise, a little fresh air.
Right, exactly.
Good.
So,
All right, any other questions for Vicky?
thank you.
Thank you. We have no other department head reports today. May is an action to approve resolution number 20-13, a bridge inspection program resolution for use with South Dakota Department of Transportation retainer contracts. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments on the resolution? It's pretty standard. Every couple of years we have to do these bridge inspections. So, any comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Pierce?
Aye.
Boersma? Aye. Bartley?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B is an action to transfer a 2015 Chevrolet Traverse from the Commission Department to the Sheriff's Office. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any comments? I guess a new commission vehicle is here, so this is a transfer that Marty's been waiting for. Okay. Yeah, I have not seen it yet. Bright orange or, okay. Any other comments or questions? Any
No.
comments?
No.
None? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item C is a discussion on the fiscal year 2018 audit report. You have some documents in front of you. I met with the auditor the other day, and we sat down and went through the report. He usually comes and makes that presentation to the group, but they've been advised to just do it with the chairman if they can get away with it. Since there were no deficiencies in our report, it was very, very easy for him to come, and we sat down and went through it item by item, and it still only took about 15 minutes. So are there any other discussions on the audit report? It was great that we got a good report, Vicki. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and just to thank everybody in the office and all the department heads for making it all go smoothly.
And now we start it all over again.
Exactly.
Okay. We appreciate that work. Any other comments or discussions on the audit report? Okay, we'll move on to item 8, the Commission Department Director's Report.
I do need to get a consensus from the board to advertise for a supplemental. Didn't receive the bill from the city to pay for the parking lot in 2019. And so we had the money in the budget last year, and that just rolled into fund balance. So now we need to, we don't have that amount in the budget for 2020. So it just takes a supplemental budget public hearing resolution to approve that so we can pay that bill. So, but the first step is getting a consensus from the board to go ahead and advertise for that supplemental budget. So if I have a consensus, we
Yeah.
will move forward appropriately. I see a bunch of heads shaking yes. Okay, I will take that as a consensus. Also, we have been gone through the process with the Red Cross to look at designating the Outdoor Adventure Center as a Red Cross shelter. Part of what we, kind of one of the last items that we need out there is to provide hookups for a generator, so that a generator could be brought on site and then hooked up to run the facility if needed. I did get a quote for that. It's almost $22,000. There is about $50,000 in the budget, the capital budget for the OAC for 2020. I don't know, other than, if we see that change order for the parking lot, that was another about $7,300. Otherwise, I don't know if there were any other anticipated expenses out there this year. If there are, we can make adjustments if there's something emergency-wise that does come up. But this is kind of the last step in the process to be able to use that facility as a shelter space. So before I said, yes, let's go ahead and do it, I wanted to see what your thoughts were.
Comments?
So that would come out of the BCOAC's capital line budget? Commissioner Krogman, could you speak more into your mic because I can't hear you?
All right.
Thank you.
So that would come out of the
And that's-
BCOAC's capital budget?
And that's because it's for that facility, yes. Yes, I mean, it's that fund. I don't know, I mean, I suppose we could just take it out of, it would come out of that capital budget regardless, even if it was, I don't know. We have a specific line for OAC in that fund, so I guess my thought is yes, that's where it would come out of.
Yeah, I was just trying to think what we had, if we had what we had planned for the OAC, because it seems like this wasn't it. And so our budget
No.
was based off of other capital improvements, and if we take this out of there, are we going to leave ourselves short for the other capital improvements in the BCO? And I couldn't remember exactly what it was. I don't know if Larry, if you can,
Well,
but
we're hoping to get a little better handle on the heating and cooling, and if there's potential there for
right.
some improvements.
And with, the new director and that kind of thing coming on, we're not sure, what we're going to find, and he has some potential to look into that HVAC, situation.
Has anybody talked with Bob Hill yet? I thought he was applying for a grant for that.
Yeah, I think he's, it's part of this funding package for emergency management. And I think what we should do is make sure that Bob's application is put in and include the $22,000 for the hookup. Obviously, getting a generator and the hookup would be a combined item to ask for that funding. And then if that happens, we get the generator and we don't get the hookup, we'll deal with the hookup at that point. But I think we should make sure we run this through Bob's process first, including the hookup, rather than having it put in right now. We don't have a generator. So let's get the generator first, and then we'll hook it up. Because I don't know, do we have portable generators? The highway department got one? They got 2 of them that we could pull out there if we needed to. So maybe we can get this covered by the same grant. We'll check with Bob on that. Leanne, does that sound?
That sounds good.
Any other comments? I just hate to take it out of your budget right now.
Well, and that was my thought. I just thought it might be more of an emergency management type of thing, that we're taking our facility and trying to upgrade it to, a Red Cross shelter, which is a great idea and all for it. But I just wonder if that shouldn't come out of an emergency management type of upgrade for that facility, rather than the ability to that what we had capital improvements already prior, because it's going to take a big chunk out of that capital. 22,000. If it was $4,000 or $5,000, I could say, yeah, maybe we could figure it out. But it's going to take a lot of it out of there. So
Yep.
I'll visit with Bob and see if see what he says about that and pass that on to him and report back. I don't know if Sean is back there and wants to come out. I know there was a question. We're doing something a little bit different that we'll probably continue to do moving forward. And maybe you saw that at the top of the agenda. We've always broadcast to our TV stations. We're broadcasting today directly to our YouTube channel as well. It's live, so it's live on YouTube. We've been using YouTube to broadcast or do the rebroadcast on the internet. That's what we've always linked our videos to on the website. We've done that for ever. So we've just figured out a way now to broadcast directly to YouTube. That way, it saves us a little time in the office. We don't have to upload that video after the fact. It's going to be there and it's going to be recorded, and then we'll link it to the website. And so it saves us a little bit of time, especially depending on the length of the meeting. That could take some time. There's some discussion about possibly doing Facebook Live, but I don't know if we need to do that. I think the YouTube channel already has subscribers to our YouTube channel and whatnot, but I don't know if there's any thoughts on that, but this was something that Sean, kind of in this interim, was able to figure out, that we could now broadcast directly to YouTube instead of having to wait and then upload that meeting to YouTube, and then it was playing after the fact. So it's there.
Part of where this conversation's coming from is at the public affairs meeting on Thursday. One of the public affairs members brought up this possibility of doing the meetings and posting them on Facebook. Patty Bacon had said, would they just send the information to her and the city was going to look into it? And I said, well, if you're going to do that, send it to us. I don't know that we need to post on Facebook myself, but I had said that, and I asked Stacy if she'd reach out to Sean, see if this was something, do we have any interest in doing it? I'm not sure that I feel a necessity for it, but I had said that I would ask everybody.
Like I said, our rebroadcasts have always been on our YouTube channel, so it's always been there. This is just kind of an added feature now for people who may not have MediaCom or ITC. They can watch it directly now. You just have to have an internet connection, and you could watch it live on that now. It's always been there.
The only thing I would say is that those YouTube recordings can always be shared on the Facebook page.
Yes.
And the video will upload. And so, yeah, it might not be live, but that video quality on your Facebook page with the YouTube video is pretty good. I mean, so you're making it more accessible to people afterwards. It's just doesn't have that live component, but you're getting that YouTube video out to a different platform that wouldn't otherwise be there. So I think that might be a good option.
What type of costs are involved? Are there any? I wouldn't object to going ahead and follow whatever the city's lead is on it, or if you want to do it, let's just do it.
We can just put it
On our
post it on
Facebook
our
page,
Facebook
yeah.
page and post a link to the YouTube.
Yeah,
They
and
can
it's,
watch it if they
like I
want.
said, it would, yeah, like Dan said, it wouldn't be live on the YouTube or on the Facebook, but we're already offering it live, the 2 TV stations, and now on our YouTube channel as well, so. And I don't know if this is the time now, if the board wants to discuss, obviously the city moved forward at the end of last week and closed city facilities until Wednesday, May 6th. Because we share this facility, going to follow suit with that, I would assume. I think now might be the time if there was any discussion regarding that. Vicki has already mentioned getting some PSAs out. I know we did that initially when we closed the building at the middle of March. We can sure do that again. We've got information out there on how each of the different departments can be contacted and whatnot, but I don't know if anybody has any other comments or thoughts on that.
Just a quick history. I was contacted by Paul Perzino to the city wanted to extend it into May. Initially, it was May 4th. The schools were going to come back into session on May 4th. That obviously has changed as of yesterday. They decided to make it May 6th instead of the 4th so that they could discuss it at their council meeting on the 5th. I didn't have an objection to the 6th. That allows us to look at it again on the 5th in the morning and determine if we're happy to end it or to extend our action that evening to extend it. Theirs was a resolution that they had an ordinance closing a lot of things, and I think they have to do their ordinance or an amendment to their ordinance, and they have to do that tonight. Paul made the decision to close the city county office building, which he has the authority to do, and so we followed that, but their ordinance is obviously much stronger than ours when it involves bars and restaurants in the community. So at this point in time, we're going to follow suit as far as May 6th is concerned without objection from you guys. I think I visited with most of you about it. Then we'll revisit it on the 5th. Commissioner Copeland.
Yeah, I guess, having heard Vicky's kind of testimony there of having people expecting it to be open because we put a date on it, and now people kind of flood and plan on it, and then we turn around, we're going to be pulled, if we extend this on the 6th, from the 6th on the 5th, that's the day before it's supposed to be there, and I anticipate same type of issue happening. So, I don't anticipate the 6th. I mean, it's another pushing it down there. I can't anticipate thinking that, I can't even think that we're going to be there at that time, but I would like us to make, if we can, make a decision a little sooner to let people know so that date is not going, rather than the day before.
Yeah.
Then people are planning and it's the day before. It's like, okay, now we're not 6, now we're June 1st, or something like that. So I kind of was a proponent of until further notice, that we're closed until further notice. And then we can give them a week saying, okay, we are planning to open the doors to the city county building next week, Monday, or something like that. And that way people aren't making plans and then we kind of, oh, sorry, still closed. So that would be my 2 cents again, I guess. But if we're picking a date, that's fine. Maybe we could look at it on the 21st and see how we're doing 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we can actually review it anytime we want and do it by
Right.
consensus.
Yeah, maybe start that conversation a little bit sooner than the day before.
Yeah, this is a very fluid situation. It keeps changing day to day on us, so we have to react. Not necessarily at a meeting as much as a consensus. We'll visit and I'll try and get a consensus. And Vicky, does that work for you? Right now, I still think we put May 6th down to have some sort of a date because that's what the city plans on doing. If they change theirs to until further notice, we'll change ours to further notice after the fact. So at this point, they're saying the 6th. We'll concur with that, if that's okay with everybody by consensus. Okay, thank you.
That's all I had, unless you have any questions for me.
Mr.
Commissioner Pierce, go ahead.
Stacy, that $91,894 on that on the parking lot, what fund will that come out of now?
That will come out of our capital 301.
And had we put the money in there last year?
Yes.
Wasn't it like 100?
So we've got the 91,000 sitting in that fund balance.
We had budgeted for about, I think, like 150,000 for that last year. So we are well within our budget that we had for it for last year. It's just that the bill didn't come and that money rolled into fund balance. So the money is there. It's just we have to do this supplemental budget to put it back into our budget to be able to pay the bill in 2020.
Okay, so it didn't roll over to the general fund. It rolled over to fund balance for that then.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it cannot roll to general fund. It has to stay in 301, so it's there.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to the state's attorney's report. Dan?
Business as usual. Nothing to report.
That was a one-sentence report. I like that. All right. It's Commissioner Pierce. You're on the phone. Have you got a report?
The only meeting that I've attended, we had a public affairs meeting last Thursday, held telephonically. It actually worked quite well. The members had asked about what we were doing on payment of real estate taxes, and Vicki and I had a conversation about that so I could share that information with them. And I saw the stuff you posted on Facebook, Vicki. I mean, that all is great. That was very understandable, and I think that'll answer people's questions. One of the things that came up during that conversation, somebody said, "Where is the drop box at?" And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I didn't know. Patty Bacon didn't know, and Jake from the city didn't know. But I know where it is now, so if I'm asked again. But when we're putting something out, and Vicki's got this in her stuff, we need to be sure that we're telling people where that drop box is located. Because
Commissioner
that's
Pierce,
really
do you want to
helpful.
tell them where it's located? Since you know where it is, do you want to tell them where it's located?
It's on the west side of the building,
By the front doors.
by the front door on the west side.
All right, thank you.
So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Boersma.
On April 1st, the ICAP board met. I think it's worth noting there's some major changes going on in that organization with board reorganization. Right now, there are 42 board members in that organization, and they're having a hard time consistently getting participation in a quorum because of lack of investment in it because of so many people. And so the decision was made at the last meeting to move from 42 board members down to 15. And they will reorganize still with the ability to maintain that kind of three-part representation between public sector, nonprofit, and a citizen member. But they'll reorganize into basically 5 districts, and Brookings will become a part of a district with Moody and Lake counties. And those 3 counties and their 9 members currently will be getting together to caucus and figure out who is going to represent and whittle that down to 3 moving forward. We will maintain a representative from each county commission all the way through, so there will still be a liaison, but this position may transition from a board seat to a liaison position if I'm, for example, if I'm not selected as one of the three moving forward into that board seat. So that's kind of a big change that's coming through, and wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. But other than that, that's the extent of my report.
I think that's probably a good move for ICAP. Commissioner Krogman.
Brookings Health meeting, again, video, last week on the 30th. Just went over the audit. They had an audit. The audit went well for them also. So that was the main portion of it. And then obviously just questions about preparedness and all of that good stuff and what they're preparing for. And he talked about meeting with Bob and meeting with various groups to prepare. You saw that article in the paper about if anything starts, where they're ready to go, and he's been in constant contact with that. And I did ask him if there was anything that we could do as a county to help. And he said, as of right now, with Bob doing his job as emergent manager and in contact with that group, he says that's working out really good, and we would go from there if anything would happen. But as of right now, there wasn't anything more that we could do as a commission to prepare for all of a sudden a bunch of people being checked into the hospital and being overrun and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's about it. He did say most of the time that Brookings Hospital is when you have major problems, issues, and respiratory and stuff, a lot of times they're moved on to larger hospitals. And so this will be something for them that will be a little bit newer when they have more people that are a little bit more dire need, and they're not going to send them down to Sioux Falls because Sioux Falls could be full or somebody like that. And so that will, they're preparing for that as best they can with the supplies they have, and they'll be ready to go if we need them. So.
Commissioner Jensen.
I did call in on the conservation district, and gave a report from a township supervisor. This township had received our culvert grant last year, and they were unable to move forward with their project, and so they didn't get the project done, and they were wondering if they were still going to receive the grant. After talking to Stacy and Brian, I informed them that they should reapply for the grant. It's new money and some new criteria involved. So I wasn't quite sure. They did qualify before. Hopefully, a little consideration that they did have it qualified before. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Had some teleconferences on emergency management with Bob and several other days to our commission directors report covered a lot of those, but we've had a lot of things with staff and personnel and questions that we've tried to answer and work through. So that's a moving target also for us, Stacy. We'll keep attacking that on a day-by-day basis as it comes up here, and when I need consultation or advice from each of you, I'll certainly give you a call and ask for your advice in areas of your expertise that we may need. So that's basically my report.
Next week, we are on for equalization boards. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And have we heard if it sounds like he thought maybe 2 or 3 would be moving on? Have we heard anything?
I have not heard anything. I'm going to reach out to Jacob today because we need, regardless, you're still going to have to meet because there's all of those other things that you have to approve, even if there aren't any
Right.
appeals.
The nonprofits
But,
and
yeah,
churches. Okay.
Yeah.
I just
There's
didn't
all
know-
of those reports that he has, but I will reach out and I will let you know if there are any because I need to create that agenda here this week. So
I was just trying to block off time. I didn't, normally it's, if it's just the regular stuff, it's usually.
do you
fairly
know, Jenna?
quickly.
Have you've usually
Yeah,
worked
I
with
too haven't heard anything about any confirmed appeals, but yeah, Stacy's right. You'll have all those other things to approve the elderly tax freeze and those
'Cause,
other
yeah,
tax
usually-
exemptions.
Non-exempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually Jenna would send out the
Mhm.
the appeal letter, so I don't know if we have any. I will reach out to Jacob and see where we're at,
Okay.
and then I will let you all know. But we will need to meet regardless. But it could be a much shorter meeting if there are no appeals.
And that's scheduled for what time on the 14th?
8:30.
8:30. That's what I've got in my book. Wanted to make sure I was all right. Okay. Any other questions?
And we can sure do just something very similar to what we're doing today. If you feel more comfortable calling in, that would be an option as well. We will conduct that in the same manner.
Well, and that was my question. If somebody's going to appeal, more times than not, they'll have stuff for us and we're going to have it in public. But if it's just going over that, I mean, we could all.
Can't hear you, Ryan.
You can't hear me?
Now I can.
All right. If somebody wants to appeal, usually they want to be in place in front and they hand stuff out. But if we don't have anybody appealing, my thought would be that we could, all the exempt stuff, all that kind of stuff, we could all do on a video meeting rather than having to get together, because it should go fairly quickly, I would guess, after that, because there's usually not a ton of discussion on those items. It's pretty rubber stamped.
Right. Yeah. Yes, we would do something just similar to what we're doing today. Do a teleconference option.
Any other questions or comments from the commissioners? Hearing none, we're going to move into executive session in accordance with South Dakota Codified Law of 1-25-2, parentheses 1 and 3, personnel and consulting with legal counsel. Is there a motion to move into executive session?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Is there a second? Did I hear a second? We
Second.
got a second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We'll move into executive session in 5 minutes.